I'd just like to say that I used to be a huge Tank Dempsey fan. I had everything that involved the World at War character, even the exclusive posters. I really could have cared less about Richtofen, Nikolai, and Takeo, but the poster contained Dempsey, so it's okay, I guess. Anyways, I always wanted the newest Call of Duty Black Ops game, seeing that I have the first two already, having been pre-ordered and got the exclusive gear. I have the RCXD toy from Black Ops 1 and the Black Ops 2 care package. Both are set up in my room. I was kinda angry that none of them had gear involving Tank Dempsey, and I was overly pissed that I had to wait forever just to play Origins on Black Ops 2, forcing me to play Transit or Mob of the Dead. I would periodically play World at War or Black Ops just to play as Dempsey, even restarting my game just till I got him, just to enjoy playing as my favorite Marine. My friend and I went down to GameStop one day after school knowing our parents wouldn't be home till later at night, so we could go and check out the new games that were out. When we got there, we saw the pre-orders for the Juggernog edition of Black Ops 3. And I wanted it so badly, but I couldn't get it for two reasons. One, the temp job I was working at paid me peanuts, and I used my pay for rent and bills. And two, my parents wouldn't willingly pay $500+ for a game. I was beginning to give up on wanting to own the game when my friend pitched an idea to split the difference. Now before you guys judge me and accuse me of being a terrible friend, I just like to say that it was his idea from the get-go. Plus, we go to the same temp job and we help each other out. I was skeptical at first, because I know that his family didn't like to see their money being squandered on video games, but he convinced me that we would split it evenly. I'd get the season pass, personalization packs, art cards, and bonus map, while he got the mini fridge, coasters, steelbook, and soundtrack. We both agreed to share the game when it came out so that we both had a chance to play it equally, switching on a weekly basis with him getting the first crack at it because he plays a lot more multiplayer than I do, and I would get it the next week mostly because I prefer to play zombies. The beeping of my Xbox One told me my game was ready to play, so I got up and started getting into my Tank Dempsey cosplay, grabbed my controller and headset, and started playing the game. Okay, so I have watched a lot of gameplay videos to know how the menu works, and I know the intro, but when I started it up, I didn't get the typical menu. In fact, I was greeted by the zombies menu screen. I passed this off as nothing, and went to play the selected maps. Now, what I didn't know then, I do now, because the moment I selected the map list, I wasn't greeted by Shadows of Evil or the Giant map. I was greeted by the map known as the Lone Marine. As I started the game, the Giant's cutscene began, with Maxis shouting at Richtofen to let him out, and Samantha in the corner crying next to her father, as they're being sent through the ether. As Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takeo arrive, that's when things started to really get weird. Instead of Dempsey telling 1.0 Richtofen to do exactly as they said, he proceeded to shoot both Nikolai and Takeo before walking towards the astonished Richtofen 1.0 and killing him as the MPD chamber opened to Origins Richtofen. And when he asked Dempsey what had happened, Dempsey only smirked evilly and said, "I'm only finishing what you started, Doc," before killing Origins Richtofen. Turning to look at the screen, that should have been my first sign for me to stop playing, but I continued on. As the game started, I noticed another thing weird. Instead of starting off with the typical MRG pistol on round 1, I had a Pack-a-Punch M16, which I knew wasn't in the game or in zombies at all. Perkaholic was equipped, and well over 3,000 points, with one simple objective: leave no survivors. I looked around the map with the controller, and I noticed that the map was a whole lot more different. In fact, I noticed that several people were running into the main teleporter, where you first turn on the power. I really started to get panicked, because when I started moving Dempsey, I noticed a large horde of zombies following me. "Don't even try to stop me, player," I heard Dempsey say, breaking the fourth wall. Now, I would normally laugh at Dempsey's fourth wall breaks, but this one in particular freaked me out, because it was almost like he wanted me to kill everyone in the facility. I then decided to shut off my Xbox, but before I could hit the power button, I heard the spawning of a hellhound right in front of Dempsey. "I'd think twice before doing that, kid. I wouldn't want to harm my biggest fan." I was really freaking out now as my finger was hovering over the power button. Instead of pressing the power button, I unplugged the Xbox, watching the screen go blank. After I turned off my Xbox, I got a text message on my phone from an unknown number, and being the idiot I was, I read it. It said, "You were warned, boy." I dropped the phone out of fear and looked out the window thinking that someone was outside, only to find nothing. I would have sighed in relief if my phone hadn't buzzed again. Same unknown number. And this time there was a picture. When I read the message, I screamed, "Their blood is on your hands." As I looked at the mangled and bloody remains of my best friend, I could see a shadow of a dog in the frame, as well as the shadow of the man that took it. If I didn't know any better than I do now, the person was the exact body height as the character, Tank Dempsey. Going into full panic mode, I planned to take the photo to my parents or the police, but I soon calmed down and stopped myself, knowing that they would call me crazy and demand I tell the truth, even though it was the truth. I decided to leave the matter alone and go watch football with my dad. It didn't help that my conscience was telling me that somebody was out there and he was coming after me next. When I got back to my room after dinner and a large pep talk from my dad about how I should join the Marines after high school, I saw that my phone was glowing with over 13 messages, one of which was of my house. I think I lost control of my bowels at that moment, because just at that moment, my phone rang. I answered it. The voice that came was all too familiar. "Better get some sleep, little Marine. You're in for a very long day tomorrow." I knew it was Dempsey now, and instead of going to sleep, I decided to take a stand and rushed to my dad's room and into his safe where he kept his M1911. My dad made it very clear that if I ever took this gun, it would have to have been a very big life or death emergency. And so far at this point, it was life or death for me. I took a couple magazines of ammo, knowing that I would probably need the extra ammo. When my parents went to sleep, I got a steak knife from the kitchen and hid them under my pillow. I then proceeded to sit on my bed and wait for the bastard. At 11:59 p.m., I heard my front door being kicked in, as well as the sound of a growling dog. It scared the heck out of my parents, and my dad started to rummage around his room for his gun. The moment he couldn't, he moved out of the living room. It was then shoved into a wall, making a racket. Upon hearing my dad hit the floor, I pulled my dad's gun out from under my pillow, as well as the knife, and proceeded to go Modern Warfare 2 on the bastard. As I entered the living room, I saw Tank Dempsey standing in the doorway with the hellhound pinning my father to the floor. Seeing him now, it was something out of pure hell at this point. Tank's eyes were glowing, similar to how Richtofen's would be if you completed the Easter eggs on Black Ops Zombies. I saw him smile as I raised the gun at him, almost impressed with the fact that I had prepared for him. Now, kid, do you honestly think that is the wisest thing you could do? I heard him ask as the hellhound snarled at me, its drool just dripping onto my father. I could hear him gagging for the scent. I didn't take any chances. I pointed the gun at him and shot him 3 times. But Dempsey, he only just stood there, smiling. I then decided to charge at him, stabbing him wildly with my knife. This only made him laugh. "Did you forget, boy? I ain't real. You can't hurt me, but I sure as hell can hurt you," I hear Tank say before he smacks me to the floor, the gun and knife clattering to the ground, the hellhound getting off my dad and starting moving towards me. This time, I can see it, the dog's decaying face, with a mouth full of what I could only be described as razors instead of teeth. As the dog grew closer to me, I started wishing for the night to end, or at least for me to wake up from whatever dream I really wasn't in. That's when Dempsey picked me up on my shirt. "I warned you not to stop me, kid. Now you will pay the price for your ignorance." I felt his grip tighten around my throat as I kicked my legs trying to get loose, only to have him laugh at my petty attempts of resistance. Right before he could kill me, though, the hellhound glanced towards the window, hearing sirens of police cars. The neighbors must have heard the gunshots and called the police. Dempsey dropped me onto the floor, his eyes still glowing, this time even more in anger. I took this chance and tried to get back to my room so I could break my accursed Black Ops 3 disc. Me and my dad watched a lot of TV, and a lot of the stuff we saw was probably true. Tank apparently knew what I was planning and sicked the hellhound on me, which began biting my leg, growling. I screamed for the intense pain as the police ran in, their guns aimed at Dempsey, not believing what they were seeing. I managed to kick the dog off of me and managed to get the disc out of my Xbox, snapping it in half. The last thing I heard was Tank screaming in sheer anger as the hellhound exploded in blood and gristle. Tank Dempsey was the last to go as the sun came up, and I saw him fade. After that, I never played another Call of Duty Black Ops game again. I threw away everything involving Tank Dempsey, as well as my costume. I was too scared to even look at him again. My friend and his family were given a funeral the next day. The police covered up the story, stating that it was an armed psychopath that broke out of a prison. It was on the news for days before they finally gave up. All I can say is that it's been at least 6 years since the incident, and I'm now in the Marines overseas. I'm writing this hoping to warn anyone reading that if you have a game that takes you somewhere other than the main menu, do yourself a favor, uninstall the game, and go trade it in for a brand new game to avoid going through what I have. To this day, I still have nightmares, and my leg tenses up from time to time. My nightmares and memory flashes tend to get stronger every now and again, because my squad, I am called the one name that still terrifies me. Tank.
Happy Halloween, boys and girls, because Pure Grendel's month of horror has come to an end. Like, comment, subscribe for future content, and list in the comments below which voiceover or which story was your favorite. Happy Halloween.